Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here today for our next round of Meet the Goats. This is Soul Ore's Spring Fantasy. We call her Fanta. Spring Fantasy is one of the oldest goats on the farm. Her and Emma Lee. Emma, you met earlier. Joined the farm together as our first two goats. So we still have both of our very first goats that joined the farm, and they are still here with us at 13 ripe old years. Love every minute of having them with us. Now, one thing you'll notice about Fanta as I quickly groom her, one, this is going to be a really short video because she's so fast to groom. But two is that she doesn't really have any hair, right? She has a lot of cashmere coming out still, even though it's summer already. And she has a beautiful stature in terms of conformation, but she is absolutely terrible when it comes to being a silky goat in terms of coat. And of course, coat is one of the most important things, right? So what's going on with that? This is a bit of a learning curve as a new owner and a new potential breeder. And it gave me a bit of my start, I guess, on how I wanted to be as a breeder. And, you know, somebody who's going to sell baby goats. So when we reached out to the breeder of Fanta and Emma, it was late in the season, and it really was not an opportune time to get the best of the best, right? We kind of had leftovers to pick from. Of course, we didn't know that at the time. We didn't understand that. So when we talked to the breeder and explained what our situation was, what we were looking to do, the fact that we wanted to get two does that would be foundational for our herd, the breeder sort of sold us what she had, rather than maybe give us better advice to say, you know, wait till next year. It won't really change the dynamic of how quickly you could breed, but you'll get a better selection of premium goats. They'll cost you a little bit more, but it'll be worth it in the end. We didn't get any of that. We just got, sure, we'll sell you the goats. So we got the goats, and both of them turned out, both these goats, and she's being dancy, by the way, because I'm underneath her udder right now, working on her belly fur, and that's sensitive. I'm not hurting her, I promise you. I would never hurt a 13-year-old goat. So at any rate, we got her, we got Emma, and I'm thrilled that we did. I love them both to death, and they, for different reasons. So Fanta was our herd queen. She ruled the roost and reigned with an iron fist for most of her 13 years. She's abdicated a throne now, and I don't blame her, right? There's younger goats that are just as bossy as her now and can take on that role. And she really doesn't need to be the boss, but she was the boss forever. And that was a fabulous way to have a herd start from a personality perspective. Emma was, you know, a different personality and had different potential in terms of show. She had better genetics in terms of what she provided to her kids. And overall, just she was a better prospect for my breeding program. But Fanta brought so much to the table just being who she was. One, she looks like a sheep instead of a goat, which is hilarious. Two, again, her personality and the way she kept the herd in line and continues to do so when she needs to is amazing. But as you can see, she never got any coat. That doesn't mean she didn't come from good genetics. She did, but it means that she really didn't have any potential. And the breeder, who had been breeding for 30 plus years at that point, knew that when she sold her to me. Knew that this goat was never going to get in a show ring and should never really be part of a foundation herd. She could be part of a herd, especially a larger herd where you're breeding to correct things, because her conformation is gorgeous. But she should never have been really my first one of two foundation goats for a breeding program. And that's okay. I sold all of her babies as pets, and she only really had 7 babies over the years. We retired her extremely early as our learning curve went upward, and she just became our pet. I know, but you've got this one little stubborn spot here, girlfriend. We got to get it. So at any rate, that's the situation with Fanta. That's why she has no hair. It's why her line will not continue on my farm, sadly, because genetically, it's just not what I wanted in my line. And I learned that fairly early on. All of her babies went to pet homes, not to breeders, because at that point, I wasn't even selling to anybody who was thinking about breeding, because I didn't know what I was doing. Why would I pawn that off on someone else? So at any rate, that was how Fanta came to be a part of our line. Again, her name is Spring Fantasy, as named by her breeder, but we call her Fanta. And that was fun because for the first few years before I determined what my naming convention was going to be, she was a soda pop, right? She was Fanta. So we named all her kids sodas, and that was a little fun. You know, we had Mr. Pibb and all sorts of fun names that were really cute. Not that the names I do now aren't cute, just I thought that, you know, we were going to keep her line Soda Pop, right? And it was always going to be Soda Pop for the Spring Fantasy line, the Fanta line. That was not to be, of course, because we stopped breeding her, and also because we changed our naming convention to be a bit more broad-based across the herd, where all of the names start with the tattoo letter of the year. So just a little fun history on her. So I thought I'd talk a little bit briefly about my philosophies on selling goats, educating people on goats, making money on goats, and frankly, I don't make any money on the goats. I'm happy if I break even. I don't have a big enough herd to even think about making a profit, because, you know, vet costs alone pretty much offset everything else. And there's cost to register, cost to microchip, cost to vaccinate, not to mention my time, the feed, everything else that goes into it. So no, I don't, you know, this isn't exactly a moneymaker for me, but I also do things that other breeders don't do, right? So if a new person came to me and said they wanted to start up their breeding program and they were super excited to buy goats from me, I would be picking goats that are appropriate to start a breeding program and that are not more suited to pets, right? I'd be looking for that potential, those genetics, master champion lines, etc. And I would be advising them if I didn't have it. And I've sent people to other breeders instead of having them buy from me when I don't have something that I feel is appropriate for what they want. To me, that's critical, right? Do I not get the sale? Yes, that's true. I don't get the sale. Do I care? Not really, because I feel like it's the right thing to do. I also price my goats before they're born. Why is that interesting, right? So a lot of folks price their baby goats at different prices based on that goat's potential as they see that goat grow up. What does that mean? That means the baby goat is born, baby goat is not for sale. As soon as it's born, the baby goat is sort of assessed for, oh, I think this goat has good potential, or I think this goat, you know, is more pet quality. And they watch them grow for a few weeks before deciding what they're going to do in terms of putting them up for sale. And then they price them based on that assessment. And of course, that means they're plussing up pricing on a lot of goats and not plussing down very often. And again, fundamentally, That's fine. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with making some money from the work that you put in, especially when you're a large breeder that's dedicating, hundreds and hundreds of hours per week to your herd. Why wouldn't you want to recoup some of that investment? I do things a little bit differently. I price my goats out before they're born based on the breeding pair and the genetic potential. So for example, if I were to breed Fanta, by the way, I am not ever going to breed Fanta again. My goodness, just so we're clear there. But if I were, even if I bred her to a master champion buck, her babies would be priced at the low end of the scale in a pet quality manner. One, because, even with the addition of that master champion buck genetics, her babies are going to still need improvement over time. If they were to be show potential, if they were to be breeding potential. And so certainly for somebody that wanted a project, that would be a great way to start. Or for somebody who didn't mind a more long-term journey and wanted to start easier on the pocketbook, fabulous. But primarily I would be selling her babies for personality and for pets, even if they came out and I saw something stunning. I wouldn't change their pricing. Their pricing would be based on my initial assessment of the breeding pair. And I think that's fair isn't the right word. I think that's the appropriate way to do things, right? It shouldn't change just because the baby is born and I suddenly see, oh my gosh, this baby has blue eyes and oh, look at all the hair on it. I got to quick up the price because of all that hair. No, you know what? The genetics are still the same. The intention is still the same. Maybe that baby got lucky and got all the good genes. Fabulous. That's exactly what I would hope for. But it doesn't change the overall assessment of the genetic pairing and the breeding. You're probably going to hear the guineas yelling in the background. Sorry about that. They're right outside and they are letting me know something's happening, which right now is probably the wind. So, same thing. If I were to put a master champion pairing with a master champion pairing, to be fair, right, just to give you the opposite example, my best goat with my best goat per se, those goats are going to be priced at the top of my pricing scale. And that's appropriate because of, the proven genetics, the fact that they're both master champions, the fact that in all likelihood, my decision there is because I've seen babies from them before and know what they produce. And it is entirely possible that they could have a kid that'll come out and frankly not have everything I'd expect, right? Maybe the kid just didn't get the coat gene or didn't get the texture gene or whatever. I know, I'm brushing your tail. It's terrible. I wouldn't change the price and lower it on that particular goat, but I would be clear in what I'm selling and why, right? So you're getting the genetic package that was clearly not expressed visually on that goat. But you're also really getting the background of the parents and the potential, and that's what you're paying for. But I'm very, open and transparent about what I price, how I price, when I price. I don't beat around the bush, and I don't price at the top of the market. There are breeders that do this and have priced their animals at the top possible dollar. I don't do that. I'm kind of in the middle of the road. Certainly, I want to get rewarded for my time and investment, but the reward for me is to see my baby goats, often families that love them, that give them the attention they deserve. If all goes well, take them to shows or even, show me how they've expanded their learning on goats. That's what I want. You're not going to get rich off of this. Nobody gets rich off of breeding animals, no matter what you price them at. Just to be fair, there is nobody making money hand over fist breeding animals unless you're doing it unethically. And I've not come across a breeder yet in this business that does it unethically. I think they just have different fundamental philosophies, right? Like for me, and I've talked to you about this before. Sorry, the guineas are just hilarious. The deer are walking by outside and they're letting me know. So I can't talk over them. Anyway, so I talked to you about my buck philosophy, right? Most baby boys born on my farm are weathered and sold at $250. That's the same $250 price range that started when I started breeding 12 years ago. It hasn't changed since. I still register them. I still microchip them. I still vaccinate them. So I'm essentially, by the time all is said and done, I probably put $200 at least into that goat, if not more. Oh, hi there. And I'm selling them for $250, right? But that's because I believe that you don't keep an intact buck that isn't going to improve and enhance any herd out there and the breed overall. And I err on the side of weathering and selling them at a weather price than keeping all of my bucks intact and selling them at top dollar breeding buck prices and, you know, letting buyer beware, so to speak. That's just me. That's just how I am. So the good news is not every breeder is that way. And frankly, it really, you know, despite the fact that I wasn't aware at the time and purchased Fanta, who, as you can tell, never got a coat, never got a headdress, never got anything that would make her a mini Silky other than her wonderful personality. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have shaped my philosophies the same. I may have had a different experience, and I'm glad that it happened. But I'm also glad that I can shape somebody else's experience a little bit differently and hopefully pass that philosophy along. So that's it for Miss Fanta, who's chewing her cud and ready to go back into the herd. We will catch you on the next one. Thanks for chatting with me and have a fabulous day wherever you are in the world. Take care of yourselves. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love to see you subscribe and be a part of our community. Certainly like and check out all the other Meet the Goat videos. Link down below in the description box. Have a good one. Bye for now.